With Playbookify, you can turn
knowledge
into action.
Cool. Yes, insiders. Very good morning, afternoon, or evening, or whatever. Yes, and this time in English. And Jan, are we ready already?
Yeah, I think.
Are we ready already? Is that English or is that
Danglish?
Is that Danglish? Okay, so yeah.
Once in a while there will be some Danglish. We apologize for that.
I think everything is in Danglish, at least from me. But we've decided to record some videos and write some content in English from now on, in Danglish. Because we got quite a few comments and emails on our idea of documenting our journey. And obviously our network is mainly based in the Netherlands, but yeah, there were quite a few people that also wanted to follow our journey, and so we've decided to try to give it a try in English. So for me, it's pretty uncomfortable, but yeah, let's do it. That's also that's part of the journey, right?
Get out of the comfort zone.
So are we ready?
We're ready and rolling.
And rolling. Okay, so let's go.
Yeah, for those that saw the previous, well, that was still in Dutch, so, well, but most people saw it, I guess. We talked about our gear acquisition syndrome.
It's still there.
We decided not to clean it up. Instead, it got worse.
It got way
It's now
worse.
like a radio and a headset.
But now it's functional because we've recorded a podcast episode. So maybe that's a good way to start this video, because we've just recorded our first podcast for the Playbookify Your Business podcast.
That's right.
And you will be the host.
That's correct. I'm going to be hosting it, so make sure to subscribe on your favorite. Is it on all the podcast apps?
Not yet. It's already on Spotify. It's on SoundCloud, and I expect it to be live on Apple Podcast in a few days.
All right, very cool.
And Google Podcast.
Apple still has to censor us, I guess. Okay, so today I think we should talk about pricing. We've had some high-level pricing discussions. I would like to get to a conclusion and then post it on our website. How about we post it when we're done with this session?
Yeah, that sounds like a good commitment.
As a starting deadline.
Yeah. So, and to be honest, we had quite a few discussions already on pricing, but we've not yet decided what the pricing model will be. So I think we now have different options. So we started with the most plain pricing, is that a good way to say that?
Yeah.
Which is a price per user model,
Mm-hmm.
but we're still doubting on it because it has some downsides. We also created a pricing plan for user-based and usage-based combined. So a plan that charges for a user plus the amount of playbooks,
right.
A certain amount of playbooks. And now we are trying to simplify it, because in the end we now we can only make some assumptions. We don't have enough data, so it's really hard to come up with good pricing.
Yeah,
you know?
We don't know much yet.
Yeah.
So just to recap, we can price per named user, very traditional. We could price per company using it. We could price per playbook, the number of playbooks that you create.
Or maybe a running playbook. That's
running.
Yeah.
Could be how many times do you run a certain playbook, or a combination of those ingredients.
Yeah.
That would also form our cost, the cost on our end, obviously creating the software, but also hosting it, running it.
But given all the discussions that we already had, do you think that we should make it that complex already, or Or is
No.
it better to go for a user-based model to start with?
Yeah. My initial thinking is that we need to have something. I think that has to be clear, because we've seen with at Servoy, where I worked for quite some time, at some point in time we did not have any pricing on the website, and we noticed that the conversion even to people trying the product was very bad. And when we started interviewing people on the website, they were visiting it, we said, why are you not registering for download? And they said, some of them said, if there's no pricing on the website, we assume it's a very expensive product, so I don't even want to evaluate it.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So there has to be we need to have a price on the website as soon as possible. I think that's one. Two, we don't really know what our value is until we're further down the road with the product, I think. We don't know what users are prepared. I mean, we've done some initial high-level talks with people on what they would want to pay for this product.
But we also are not sure whether our product fits better with bigger companies like 500 people or 20 people. I think the sweet spot for now, as we know now, I think it's between 10 and 100, maybe a bit more. But yeah, that also depends on our first experience, the first experience of launching customers and all that. So
that's right. So I think you mentioned that you worked on some a couple of models on how the pricing would look like on a per user basis.
Yeah, I started with a pricing model based on users plus playbooks, because I think there must be some kind of a correlation between how many users you have in your account and how many playbooks you will have. But yeah, that's an assumption. I'm not really sure about that. So I came up with this model. Maybe we can add it to the video.
Yeah, we'll add it to the end, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think this is a good way to start, because we don't really know how many playbooks a user wants to build. And it also depends on the type of company and the type of playbooks, because essentially you can create a marketing playbook, but another company will say we're going to create 50 playbooks, smaller playbooks for specific things, but within marketing.
Right.
So yeah, in that way we don't want to limit the product experience
because of pricing.
Because that will not be really helpful for the customer. So for that reason, I think another model is just a plain price or user-based pricing. But then I have some bad experience with user-based pricing models, because in the end, sometimes sometimes a company decides to only create one account share the account, share the email address.
Right.
I think that our product is basically a collaboration tool.
Yeah.
So it won't be really useful if you work with one account, because you cannot assign a colleague. But still, maybe that's a risk. But yeah, I think at this point in time, I think we should take that risk.
Right.
And just go for a simple pricing model. So I came up with some different competitors and alternatives, and I think the most expensive one charges 25 per user.
Okay, that sounds like a lot to me.
Yeah, that's a lot, but there's a catch because you also have free kind of guest accounts or something like that. But then the experience for those members or users is quite limited.
Because they're not named users then.
Yeah, exactly. So they cannot run a playbook, and that's where the value of the product is. So I don't think we should go there. Then another competitor charges between 10 and 12, 15 dollars or euro, so you want. I think that's still pretty expensive, especially if you are going to invite all your team members and also the members that are running a playbook once a month. Then it's pretty expensive, I think. So Another competitor charges between 8 and 9. I think that's more reasonable. And then you have all those alternatives, like not really dedicated playbook software, but more document software and things like Google Docs. I think we are adding a lot of value on top of those document solutions.
Right.
So I am confident to charge a bit more, but I still think, given the fact that we are now starting off and we don't have that much features yet, I think
Right.
somewhere between 4 and 8 euros will fit best. But I
Okay.
don't know what you think.
Yeah, I think we need a starting point that is reasonable, that attracts you to start using the software. Obviously, the trials will be free, and if you're just 1 or 2 playbooks, it will be free forever. So we do planning on don't we? A freemium version, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There will be a freemium version. Yeah, I agree that somewhere below 10 euros is reasonable. Maybe start in the middle.
Yeah. And what about changing the pricing? Because I think we will start now with some basic functionality and okay, let's say we charge between 5 and 10.
Yeah.
But what do you, in your experience, what do you think? Is it okay to raise our price after 3 or 6 months, or do you think we should go for a year and then at least give it a year? Or what are your thoughts on how we can pivot the pricing?
The experience is that most SaaS products are trying different pricing models, and you have to experiment with them to find your sweet spot. And yeah, as your product gets bigger, if you look at products like Salesforce, when they got bigger, today you pay about 5 to 10 times more for Salesforce than you paid 10 years ago. So as they add value, they also increase the pricing. So that's a logical evolution. I think that's going to happen. Yeah. For us, we also don't have a very clear picture how people are going to use our product. Is it just for very small, tiny tasks that are not that important, or is it maybe running your entire organization in a mission critical setup? Then that value is very different than running. Let's say I only manage our webinars with this software. Then little value. Yeah. Running mission critical tasks.
Yeah, exactly.
Launching a rocket ship to Mars. And it would be a good use case. SpaceX as a dear SpaceX, please.
Okay.
Please
if you watch, Elon.
Although maybe our license terms does say that you cannot launch rockets with it.
Or at least we are not responsible for any
crashes.
Fuck up. That's a huge disclaimer.
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah. Okay, so I suggest let's stick with 5 euros for now. And maybe you guys have some input for us. Do you think 5 euros per user per month, unlimited playbooks, unlimited usage, unlimited storage is reasonable to start with? Or do you think it should be more, and why, or less, and why? Let's know in the comments. We'll be checking them.
Yeah, that sounds good. That's also
And for our next session, with this, and we already know the pricing model is going to change in the future, we also need a billing platform that can help us with that kind of flexibility to be able to configure it. And I have some ideas, you probably do as well, on where we should be looking at. So we'll talk about that the next time, or the next time maybe, sometime in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe not only billing, but also the managing of the
subscription management.
Subscription management. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Subscription management is also
reporting, predicting,
planning.
Especially,
because we are working with something around 25 investors, and we really want to share our progress and our metrics and all that. So I think it's good to have the good systems in place to report, but also for ourselves, because I think in the first year, because we are now talking about a pricing model, and it's obviously we need a starting point, but I see it as a starting point, because I think when a company, let's say a company with 200 employees,
Right.
If they are going to request a quote, we will, even if we are a product-led growth company, we still want to discuss the pricing and the conditions and all that. So I think this is a good starting point, but we still have to do a custom proposal every now and then.
All right. I'm curious to hear from our followers, and
let
that's
us
it.
know. Yeah, let us know. Cool.
That's it.
Thanks.
With Playbookify, you can turn
knowledge
into action.
Cool.